a heart-wrenching case that stunned the entire nation. The tragic story of Yingying Zhang. Her life was a beacon of hope and promise, but her journey was cut short in the most horrifying way.
Also, more breaking news this morning, an update on the search for murdered University of Illinois scholar Yingying Zhang. The attorney representing the family held a news conference a short time ago. You can see here it was very emotional. Zhang's mother can be seen here buckled over and crying. Brendt Christensen confessed to killing Zhang back in June of 2017, but her remains were never found. Their attorney says that Christensen placed her chopped up body in trash bags in a dumpster. And now new information. The family was told her remains were taken from that dumpster, and they are believed to be in a private landfill in Danville.
Buckle up, because this case is as chilling as it is heartbreaking. Yingying Zhang was born on December 21, 1990, in Nanping, China. From the get-go, she was a standout, with a master's degree in environmental engineering from Peking University. In April 2017, Yingying's bright future took a new turn when she arrived in Champaign, Illinois. At 26, she was starting a year-long research program at the University of Illinois, diving into the world of plants and water systems in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Sciences. She had big dreams, aiming to pursue a PhD in China after her research stint. Yingying was also deeply in love. She and her fiancé, Shaolin Ho, were a perfect match, both top students with plans for their future together. They were set to marry upon her return to China, and Yingying was already planning their life together. She had picked out her wedding dress and envisioned a future filled with joy and children. But fate had something else in store. On June 9, 2017, Yingying left campus to meet with a real estate agent to sign a lease for a new apartment. Her plans seemed simple enough. At 1:39 p.m., she texted the agent, saying she'd be about 30 minutes late, estimating her arrival at 2:10 p.m. Little did anyone know, this would be the last message Yingying ever sent. When she didn't show up, the agent tried reaching out to her but received no response. Hours went by, and still, there was no sign of Yingying. Her friends started getting worried. She had only planned a quick lease signing and was supposed to return to campus. Her phone and bank cards showed no activity, and her usual routine of daily calls to her fiancé was abruptly interrupted. The silence was unsettling. By evening, her friends in the campus community reported her missing. At first, the police were hesitant. They thought she might be out having fun or spending time with friends, which is common among young people. But as hours turned into a full day with no sign of Yingying, the situation became increasingly serious. The police started digging deeper, but her bank cards and phone were eerily quiet, adding to the growing panic. Yingying's phone had been turned off at 2:28 p.m., and that was the last trace of her. The police quickly ramped up their search efforts. With no leads from her friends or phone activity, they faced a daunting task. The investigation eventually led to the arrest of Brendt Christensen, a former graduate student at the university. Christensen was charged with Yingying's kidnapping and murder.
Death penalty trial of former U of I student Brendt Christensen is coming to an end.
CBS 2's Tim McNicholas is live at the federal courthouse in Peoria. Tim, what do we know about what's expected in court today?
Well, good morning, Mike and Aaron. Prosecutors are expected to rest their case today after a trial full of twists and turns. Keep in mind, this is a trial that started with Brendt Christensen's defense team admitting he killed Yingying Zhang.
The evidence was chilling. He had lured Yingying into his car under the pretense of a ride, and what happened next was horrifyingly tragic. Christensen's confession and the subsequent trial revealed the brutal truth. Yingying's life was stolen far too soon. Her case became a symbol of the dangers lurking in everyday situations and a reminder of the preciousness of life. The nation mourned her loss and rallied for justice, honoring her memory and the bright future that was taken away. News of Yingying's disappearance made headlines around the globe. A reward of $110,000 was initially offered for information, but as days passed and hope waned, her parents and fiancé flew in from China, boosting the reward to $50,000. They were determined to find her, promising not to leave until they had answers. The case had become an international sensation, drawing in the FBI for an extensive investigation. The FBI's first big break came when they traced Yingying's phone to a bus stop near campus. Surveillance footage showed her boarding a bus at 1:35 p.m., but she missed her transfer and was seen waiting at another stop. A black four-door Saturn Astra appeared in the footage around 2:03 p.m. and circled back to approach Yingying. She was seen talking to the driver before getting into the car. After that, she vanished from the cameras. Unfortunately, the license plate wasn't visible in the footage, so the FBI had to get creative. They discovered there were 18 black four-door Saturn Astras registered in the area. By examining the footage closely, they identified a key feature: cracked hubcaps and a sunroof. Of the 18 vehicles, only one matched this description: a car owned by 28-year-old Brendt Christensen. Brendt Christensen's background seemed relatively normal. He was from Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and had married his high school sweetheart, Michelle Zortman, in 2011. He appeared to be a decent, family-oriented guy with no prior criminal record. When the FBI questioned Brendt, he claimed he couldn't remember his whereabouts on June 9th. He suggested he might have been sleeping or playing video games while his wife was out of town with another man. When agents searched his car and apartment, they found something unsettling. The front passenger seat of his car had been meticulously cleaned, while the rest of the car was dirty. This odd detail raised suspicions. Why clean only part of the car unless trying to remove specific stains or evidence? Brendt was brought in for further questioning. Initially, he denied any involvement, but when confronted with the surveillance footage, he admitted to giving a distressed young woman a ride. He claimed Yingying had been upset after he made a wrong turn and tried to exit the car. However, Brent's story had inconsistencies. He struggled to describe Yingying accurately, citing difficulty distinguishing Asian individuals. This detail, combined with his odd behavior, made him a prime suspect. Despite the circumstantial evidence, the FBI lacked enough to make an arrest, so Brendt was released. But the investigation was far from over. Brendt Christensen became a prime suspect in Yingying Zhang's disappearance. Law enforcement didn't let up. They kept him under close surveillance, meticulously gathering evidence that might link him to her vanishing act. The FBI seized his phone, computer, camera, and other digital devices, hoping to uncover any hidden secrets that might shed light on this dark case. In March 2017, just a few months before Yingying disappeared, Brendt had visited a psychologist. During this session, he openly discussed his fascination with murder and serial killers, specifically mentioning Ted Bundy. He even claimed he knew how to commit a murder without leaving any evidence.
Now to the warning made by a killer. In his own words, Brendt Christensen speaks about harming others. CBS 2's Tim McNicholas obtained video from Christensen's meeting with counselors made shortly before he killed a U of I student.
Brendt Christensen agreed to this recording in March 2017. It's his initial assessment at a University of Illinois counseling center.
He also mentioned thoughts of hurting others, thoughts of harming others.
Yeah.
Christensen told a counseling intern he'd gone as far as planning ways to hurt others.
I was pretty far.
But he said he eventually abandoned the thoughts and never identified any victims.
Not specific people. There's probably a type I would have went for.
3 months later, investigators say he lured Yingying Zhang into his car after she missed a bus, then kidnapped, raped, and killed the visiting Chinese scholar. He faces a possible death sentence after a jury convicted him last week.
I've always been interested in the bad guys.
Christensen, who was a former U of I student, also told the intern serial killers had fascinated him.
And one in particular fascinated Ted Bundy, because he was literally the worst person I've ever heard of.
A few days after the session, Christensen followed up with full-time counselors. Now the administrator of Zhang's estate is suing Christensen and those counselors. The lawsuit says their, quote, incomplete treatment plan failed to treat Christensen's symptoms, and the counselors' indifference led to Zhang's death.
I realized it wasn't even close to worth it. It was just very weird, and I don't know why I was even thinking in the first place.
And U of I told us today one of those counselors still works for them, and the other one left 2 years ago for private practice. The university says they can't comment on any student's treatment, but they plan to defend themselves vigorously in court. In the newsroom, Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News. Erica?
All right, Tim, thank you. Christensen will be in court again on July 8th, and that is when a jury will decide if he should be sentenced to death.
To make things even more disturbing, Brendt admitted his life was falling apart. He was drowning in alcohol, his wife Michelle had a lover and was asking for a divorce, and he wasn't handling it well. But that's not all. Just before Yingying's disappearance, Brendt had started a relationship with a woman named Tara Bullies. They had met on a dating site and bonded over BDSM. Brendt's computer search history revealed some truly disturbing queries. He had looked up terms like kidnapping, how to kidnap someone, cleaning agents, how to track an iPhone. It was clear he was researching ways to abduct someone, disable phone tracking, and clean up evidence, all while keeping tabs on the investigation into Yingying's disappearance. Despite all this, there still wasn't enough concrete evidence to make an arrest. The FBI needed more, preferably a confession or some undeniable proof. So they turned to Tara Bullies. With her help, they set up a crucial sting operation. Tara agreed to wear a wire and record her conversations with Brendt, which would be vital for building a stronger case. On June 29th, Brendt and Tara attended a memorial event for Yingying Zhang.
Well, good morning, Mike and Aaron. Prosecutors are expected to rest their case today after a trial full of twists and turns. Keep in mind, this is a trial that started with Brendt Christensen's defense team admitting he killed Yingying Zhang. Yesterday, Christensen's ex-girlfriend spent hours on the stand. That is the same ex-girlfriend you may have seen in a video with Christensen at a memorial walk for Zhang. She testified that at that walk, Christensen took her phone, typed the words, "It was me. She was number 13. She is gone forever," and then deleted those words. Now, investigators have not been able to verify whether Christensen really did kill 12 other people. She also said Christensen told her the crowd that night was there for him. He didn't realize that girlfriend had a recording device for the FBI. Later that night, on the walk home, he is heard on the recording describing in graphic detail how he raped and killed Zhang. He was arrested the next day. Defense attorneys have questioned how much the two had been drinking that night and whether she egged him on at all to say the things he said. Today, defense attorneys will call Christensen's ex-wife to the stand. She was going through a divorce with Christensen, and the weekend Zhang disappeared, she was out of town with a boyfriend. The defense team has tried to paint Christensen as a man with mental health and substance abuse issues who does not deserve to die. They say it should only take about half a day for them to make their case. Closing arguments will likely start Monday morning, and then the jury will decide whether Christensen is guilty. That same jury, in a separate proceeding, will decide whether he deserves the death penalty. Live in Peoria, Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News.
Brendt Christensen was under intense scrutiny after he became a suspect in Yingying Zhang's disappearance, and it wasn't long before the FBI got a critical break in the case. They had Tara Bullies, Brendt's girlfriend, wearing a wire, and what she recorded was nothing short of chilling. As Tara secretly recorded their conversations, the fear in her heartbeat was palpable, but she pressed on, knowing this could be the key to cracking the case. Drunk and seemingly unbothered by his grim confession, Brendt Christensen spilled some horrific details. He recounted Yingying's final moments with a disturbing smile. "I tried to strangle her for 10 minutes, he confessed. "And when I let go, she was still breathing. I couldn't believe she was still alive. She fought harder than anyone I've ever encountered. Yingying was the only one I messed up with. She was the 13th. Brendt's chilling recount didn't stop there. He revealed how he dragged Yingying's body to his bathroom and beat her with a baseball bat. Then he stabbed her in the neck and decapitated her. I cut off her head, and that was the end, he said with a disturbing lack of remorse.
Also, more breaking news this morning, an update on the search for murdered University of Illinois scholar Yingying Zhang. The attorney representing the family held a news conference a short time ago. You can see here it was very emotional. Zhang's mother can be seen here buckled over and crying. Brendt Christensen confessed to killing Zhang back in June of 2017, but her remains were never found. Their attorney says that Christensen placed her chopped up body in trash bags in a dumpster. And now new information. The family was told her remains were taken from that dumpster and they are believed to be in a private landfill in Danville. The family's attorney and Zhang's father spoke this morning through a translator.
The contents of the dumpster were compacted at least twice. And due to the compaction process, Yingying's bodily remains may be very, very small in size.
There's nothing in the world that we want more than to find our daughter and bring her home. We now understand that finding her may be impossible.
So hard to hear. Brendt Christensen has been sentenced to life in prison. There have been no appeals filed.
At first, he pretended to be an undercover police officer and refused to confess. But the FBI wasn't about to let him off the hook that easily. A thorough search of Brent's apartment was conducted using luminol, a chemical that reveals traces of blood. What they found was grisly. A bloody handprint was discovered on the wall next to his bed, and there were more blood traces in his bathroom and on the passenger door of his car. DNA and fibers from Yingying's toothbrush were found on the baseball bat, mattress, carpet, and in Brent's bathroom. GPS data confirmed he was at the locations where Yingying was last seen. Additionally, receipts for garbage bags and cleaning supplies were found in his apartment. He had even purchased a large duffel bag on Amazon, which he presumably used to transport Yingying's remains discreetly. Brendt Christensen's trial began in June 2019. With the possibility of the death penalty hanging over him, his defense attorney painted a complex picture of Brendt.
Judy, this was a verdict that many had expected after the defense early on acknowledged Christensen's guilt. It sets up perhaps the true legal battle in this case over whether he should live or die. It was the verdict Yingying Zhang's relatives had waited 2 years for, but it did little to ease their pain. I want to bring my daughter home, pleaded Zhang's mother, whose anguish punctuated a heartrending 2 weeks. In stark contrast, Brendt Christensen didn't flinch as the verdicts were read. His demeanor similar during 8 days of testimony as the prosecution painted him as a cold, calculating killer who tortured Zhang and tried to hide his crime. In his closing argument, federal prosecutor Eugene Miller said he didn't know her by name, but her name wasn't important to him. He wanted a certain type of woman, a petite woman who could easily be disposed of.
Words could not describe their pain and suffering. It's unthinkable. It's so hard.
For the defense, the true legal battle now lies ahead, keeping Christensen off death row. The prosecution's allegations of torture and premeditation at the heart of it. After the verdict, the court releasing audio played in court of Christensen describing the murder in horrific detail.
She was telling. She what?
She what? She fight.
More than anyone else.
Of Christensen's recorded words describing the murder in horrific detail, defense attorney Elizabeth Pollack argued they were embellishments. It's awful, it's horrible, she said. It makes you want to hate him, but that emotion cannot overcome the facts. An attorney for Zhang's relatives was asked if the family wants the death penalty for Christensen. He would only say that the family was consulted and its wishes considered before prosecutors made this a capital case.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.
The lawyer argued that Brendt was a bright individual who struggled with deep-seated issues. They pointed out his history of depression, troubled family dynamics, and substance abuse. His lawyer claimed that Brent's mental state deteriorated further after his wife's request for a divorce. Fast forward to the trial. While behind bars, Brendt made a disturbing confession. In a recorded phone call from jail, he told Michelle that Tara Bullies, his new girlfriend, had set him up and even suggested she should be carried out of the courtroom on a stretcher. Despite his shocking admission, Brendt didn't reveal where Yingying Zhang's body was hidden. July 18, 2019, was a day of reckoning. After 2 intense hours of deliberation, the jury found Brendt guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As for Michelle, she chose to leave the state and change her last name, trying to escape the shadow of her husband's crimes. Yingying's family was left in anguish. They were deeply dissatisfied with Brendt's life sentence, believing he deserved the death penalty. Their greatest wish was to give their daughter a proper resting place, but the knowledge that her body might never be found was a crushing blow. Despite this legal setback, there was a poignant effort to honor Yingying's memory. A memorial stone was established at the University of Illinois campus in Urbana-Champaign, where she had been living. This monument serves as a lasting tribute to her memory and stands as a somber reminder of the bright life that was so tragically cut short. The story of Yingying Zhang is a powerful, heart-wrenching reminder of the impact one person's actions can have on so many lives. It underscores the importance of vigilance, compassion, and the need for a supportive community to prevent such tragedies. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comments section.